Okay, so I think it will be beneficial to share a little bit about myself. My name is Missy. I'm was born and raised in Star Valley, Wyoming, for the most part, for the most of my life. Um, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a history on me. When I was 3.5, I was the first one to walk in on my mom's boyfriend's suicide. Um, he had bit a bullet, literally. After that, my little sister and I were raised by my grandma, and she was quite bipolar. She was a little bit wild and crazy. Um, my mom worked all the time, so she was like never home with us. My grandma did not like me. I was a bull in the china closet. Um, when I was in first grade, I did not have an alarm clock, but I would wake myself up, get myself ready for school. I would walk down to my friend's trailer, which was like 3 trailers down, and I would knock on their door until they answered. So I would wake them up and they would hurry and get ready, and we would usually catch the bus. It would pass, we would miss it the first time, but then it would turn around and come back. So we'd catch it on the second. So I think that's pretty cool that I did that when I was in first grade by myself and I helped my friends out. They come from they were had a pretty rough life too. But I come from a broken home, from generations of a broken home. Um, when I was in first grade, I also had a puppy that died in my arms. It was my landlord's. Um, that was pretty traumatizing. I walked it over to my landlord, and he was mowing the lawn, and he couldn't hear me, and I was screaming, "Hey, hey!" And I'm carrying his dog that just got ran over by the missionaries right in front of me, and he couldn't hear me, so I walked up to him and tapped on him, and he turned around and he seen his dog, and he like dropped to his knees and took his puppy, and he was crying and I was crying. um it was rough. Walked home and I was bawling, and I told my grandma what happened, and she was yelling at me and yelled at me and told me it was my fault and to go wash the blood off in the bathtub. um Anyways, fast forward to my life, and a lot more happened, after that. But I'm just gonna fast forward to 10 years old. I was 10. I was finally able to stay with my mom. I was in fourth grade, and her boyfriend, and his name was Kevin. Um, he beat my mom on numerous occasions. When we were out staying out at his place, I opened the drawer by the couch and found his stash. My mom yelled at me. She's like, "Oh my God, don't touch that." So that was the first time that I tried any. It was my first drug, was dope. I believe he was molesting me when I was sleeping. I hadn't. I remember. I remember things, but I remember mostly my. I was so sensitive, and um, I was screaming and throwing fits and just giving my mom a really hard time. And she was like, "What is wrong with you?" It also didn't help that she would get beat. Um, and then we'd leave, and then she'd go back to him, and then everything would be fine for a little bit, and then she'd get beat again. We ended up moving to Oregon, though, that summer, I believe, and moved down there. Things were pretty crazy. We lived across the street from these badass bikers named Desi and Grego. Thank God for Desi and Grego. Desi was my mom's best friend, and she would take us on wild adventures. Um, there was a party one evening, and after the party, Kevin beat my mom so fucking bad in front of me. He broke like this bird bath sink in the bathroom with her face. And I ran across the street and ran into Desi and Grego's house because they had said, how Grego's like against woman beaters and child molesters, and I could feel like they're like, and they did say if we ever needed anything to just come into their house. So I ran into their house and they were being intimate, and I was screaming, Grego, Kevin's trying to kill my mom. And I I walked in on them, and he was pulling his pants up and grabbed a shotgun and ran across the street. Desi kept me with her, and when Grego come back with my mom's face was just fucking bloody. It was fucked up. And he was like, that son of a bitch ran out the back door. And we never seen him again until recently when I was working at the gas station. I swear to God, I seen this slimy scumbag walk in, and my whole body started like tingling and shaking, and my anxiety went sky high. um so in Oregon, I was playing at the park with my friends, and I was in fourth grade, like fourth grade summer, so after fourth grade, before fifth grade. And we were playing there, and there was like this creep who kept like, he was standing behind a tree, and then he would be like watching us, and then he'd like disappear, and then he'd walk to a different tree because there was like a whole line of trees. And I told my friends, I was like, hey, and I was hanging out with this older girl and then her sister who was my age, and she was like, that I know that creep, he's a creep, he's following us. And the guy was following us, he was stalking us, and then he was like, hey, and we took off running, and we were running to my house. And Grego was outside, and so we told him, we're like, hey, this guy. And the guy was like following us down the street. And we turned around and pointed, and we're like, that guy. And Grego was like, hey. And the guy took off running. And like 3 days later, Grego brought me this guy's bloody molars. He went and found the guy. And Grego had like this container of molars, of grown adults' molars. He had like 10 or 12 of them, I don't know. And he handed me like 2 bloody ones, and he's like, here, this is for the guy that, whatever. And that it was crazy. When I got a little bit older, my mom told me that part of the reason why he did that was because he wanted to sell me down there, and had some people lined up. That's what my mom told me. So yeah, that's a few things that from my past for you to know about. Thinking about it and writing about it and then talking about it is all totally different experiences. So it's kind of unpacking here also. I will see you guys on the next one.